So, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one, and it'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. It doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. Billy Sewell with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
Be pulling things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser. Hey, what's happening, Rocked On Detroit Lions world? I'm good, thank you. Forgot my headphones. We're going to go headphone-less tonight. How's everybody doing tonight? Drop me a little line in the chat. Again, I'm going to try to manage it on my own. I've got some sad news to share with everybody tonight, and really didn't even feel like coming on, but Andy said to do it. So, unfortunately, Andy had a stroke today, around 11 o'clock this morning, and he seems to be doing okay. But as anybody knows, with that type of a major medical event, there's some long-term things post this that could be there for him. So if everybody could do us a favor, when you do see this stream and this show, please reach out, tell Andy, to get well and whatever else you'd like to send his way. I'm sure he would appreciate it. I'm hoping he's going to be able to come back and do just fine, but we'll see. For right now, obviously there's no pressure on Andy. He needs to get better, but my thoughts, are with you, Andy, man. I hope you get through this just fine. So we're going to try to get through it tonight and do our best. But it's definitely different, especially knowing this. So, all right. Well, today was a good day for the Lions, at least. Want to say that, they're leading this division in swimming fashion right now. For a minute there, the Bears and the Vikings both looked good today, but they didn't finish well. The Vikings finally got a win today. The Bears still remain winless. Obviously, we kicked the snot out of the Packers last Thursday, and the Lions are, finishing this first quarter at 3-1. And they're heading into a Carolina team that I believe is still winless. I didn't catch the rest of the game today, but I don't think that Carolina has still gotten a win. So, yes, in my opinion, that could be a trap game. And I know there's a lot of differing opinions on trap games and what they mean. To me, it's pretty simple. It's a team that's not doing well. You should go in and beat them. You should win that game. Whether you're looking ahead to the next week is one analogy that people use, that you're looking ahead, you're kind of skipping over a team and you go in and you lose, or whether you just go and you lose to a team that you should beat. And at this point, Carolina should be a victory, but we know in the NFL, there's no easy wins. That's why it's called Any Given Sunday, right? Well, now Monday and Thursday and Saturday and all the other days they've added, but any given Sunday, anybody can win. It doesn't matter. If you're 13-0 or 0-13, anybody can win. You just don't know. So right now I'm thinking the Lions are going to go in and win next week. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Yeah, thanks, Mike. So Mike's reaching out here. He said, damn, sorry to hear. Get well, Andy. Absolutely. John Fleming said, what? Yeah, not good, man. Not good for Andy. He's a big part of what we do. And I know he gives me all the credit for everything that, we're trying to put together here and everything we've been able to accomplish so far. But it takes two to tango, man. You need, your ebb and your flow, and Andy's the flow. And we work together, on just about everything. And it requires, a team of people to make things work well. And I think we work well. So, but we're also learning and we're new, and we need your help to get better too. So here we are. I wanted to discuss something a little bit different tonight, since we've got a little bit of a break between, the last game last Thursday in Carolina. So we'll do our pregame on Friday and review the Carolina game and kind of break everything down that, that Carolina is doing and not doing, and what the Lions are doing and not doing. And then we'll have our Sunday, post-game show too. If Andy's back, that'd be great. If he's not, no pressure. That's okay. I'll manage through it all. But I wanted to review the offensive line tonight. And last spring, I did something different where, we did the Lions Legend series. And then, I kind of highlighted some articles about, really who's behind this Detroit Lions organization, who's behind this team that is helping them become what they are. And the one man that has not gotten a ton of light yet is the offensive line. And Hank Fraley. This guy has done an excellent job. And he's been with the Lions. He was with the previous, the previous regime, right, under Patricia. And he stuck through. And not only did he stick through with, the new coaching staff, but they kept him. And there's a reason why they kept him, and we're starting to see that come to light. So the title of tonight's podcast is really dominating the trenches and what this Detroit Lions offense is able to accomplish. This is a high-stakes world in the NFL. And if you're able to dominate in the trenches, everything else starts to open up. The success often begins in the middle of the field, between the two lines. That's where it is. Where the line is drawn, where the ball is set, that's where it begins. So Hank has really created a formidable offensive line over the last few years. He's been at it now for about 5 with the Detroit Lions. And this offensive prowess, right? The way that we're able to attack and the way we're able to get downfield and punch it in for a first down when we need it, when we're 3 yards out, is all because of what he's doing with this offensive line. The biggest component is obviously protecting the quarterback. Protecting Jared Goff is first and foremost. And they're doing a really good job at that too. Now, I didn't go in and break down a bunch of stats tonight and throw a bunch of numbers at you, of the pressures and how much time he has. But I want to say that Goff is averaging about 2.9 seconds in the pocket right now. I'm sorry, 2.6 seconds in the pocket right now, which is a lot of time for him. He's successful at 2.4. And that was a stat that came out, I believe, after week 1. If you give him 2.4 seconds, he's going to get to his checkdowns that quick. So you give Goff more than 2.4 seconds, we're going to have a great day in the office, right? Great day on the football field. So right now, this offensive line is opening up holes like we haven't seen before. So well so that David Montgomery has already gotten 5 TDs on the ground. He's on pace for 21 TDs for the season. Whether that happens or not, it's yet to be seen. Whether it even matters or not, we'll see here in the next couple weeks. I don't think that, how many touchdowns we get is going to define what this offense is able to do. I feel like they're playing complementary football right now. They utilize the run to open up the play action. When the play action opens up, and now that Jameson Williams is coming back, the downfield vertical game is going to start to align. And we're going to start seeing more explosive plays. So in recent years, we know that the offensive line was good, but was it ever great? Was it ever elite? And I think the answer is no. Go back to the Barry Sanders days. He had a good offensive line, but did he have a great offensive line? I don't really think he did. The Dominic Raiola era, one of the better offensive linemen to play on this team. And I'm not saying that we haven't had good or great offensive linemen, because we have. We've had plenty. but I don't ever think we've had a nucleus and a team like this on the offensive line that we're seeing today. And that's why I wanted to jump into this tonight and kind of do a little bit of a look at Hank Fraley and why he's a coaching gem in this league. But before diving into everything that he's done and his accomplishments so far with the Detroit Lions, I think it's impactful to kind of go back and look at what he's done prior to this. He's a former offensive lineman himself. Excuse me. And he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to the coaching staff. As a player, as a coach, as a college coach, he's kind of done it all. And he's been under some of the best coaches in the NFL that they've had to offer. He's got a very deep understanding of the intricacies of playing the position, playing in the trenches, and that's a very invaluable, measurement or tool, if you will, to give to his players and allow them to utilize his brain and his knowledge and his experience to develop what we're seeing now is a game-changing offensive line. When they need it, they can get it. All right, let me jump into the chat for just a second, and then we're going to move on to a little bit of Hank Fraley before the Detroit Lions. All right. John Fleming, he says, man, give him all the prayers I can. I'm here more if you need it. So John Fleming is one of our new moderators, admins of our group, and soon he'll be, part of the action. Really appreciate that, John. And if you guys are just jumping in, the news today, unfortunately for us, is Andy B had suffered a stroke about 11 o'clock this morning, and he's in the hospital. So he's doing okay. He wanted me to do the show, so I'm doing the show the best I can, but that's the news for today. So if you guys can, do us a huge favor and reach out to him any which way you can, even if it's a message, on the group or on the page. You can message him directly, I'm sure. Any way you can, pick his spirits up. John Fleming jumped in again here with another comment. Says O-line equals great play action, which is key to Johnson's offensive play calls. I couldn't agree more. Our play action is very key to what we do week in and week out. Mike Miller says the O-line equals great play action. Wait, did I just read that twice? My apologize. That was Mike Miller's. John Fleming said if Jared Goff doesn't have the protection he's been getting, we're 0-4. And I believe that. Maybe not 0-4, but I believe that we would have had a tougher time. Because if you look at the last game, he got some pressure, but it was the little bit of pressure that it got to him that gave him some fits. But he was able to work his way out of it. And he was able to get to his checkdowns a little bit quicker. All right, let me move on here from the chat. I don't see any more right now. And I'm going to do the best I can because I'm working with a couple of screens here that makes it difficult sometimes on me. All right, Hank Fraley. Like I said, he possesses college and NFL coaching and playing experience. And we'll jump into a little bit about him before the Detroit Lions. So he was a non-scholarship student athlete at Robert Morris University in Pennsylvania. He earned his degree in organizational leadership. I mean, that's a foundational element of being a coach, is it not? He emerged as one of the all-time greats for RMU and became just the second player in school's history to have his number retired, number 75, in 2001. He played for RMU, or when he played for RMU, he played under Coach Joe Walton, who had previously served as the head coach of the New York Jets and was a longtime offensive coordinator in the NFL. So right there, I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, as a player, as a coach, he is learning from some of the best at a young age, right? He's getting through college, and he's learning from a young age, how to do things the right way in the NFL. And he's learning NFL type scheme, in college, which, let's be honest, you're not going to see that at every university or, even a AA school like this was. You're not going to get that type of experience. You're not going to get that type of leadership. And he did. And I think that really helped propel his career. So on the field at RMU, Fraley was named All Northeast Conference from 97 to 99 as the Colonials was the name of that university, won the league title each season posting an overall record of 20-11. In addition, he was also chosen as the IAA Mid-Major All-American all 3 seasons. So it's, he's no slouch. Those are pretty good accomplishments. I mean, great accomplishments, amazing accomplishments. RMU captured the 97 ECAC Bowl and was selected to the 99 NC2A Division I AA Mid-Major National Champion, or they were declared the Mid-Major National Champion by the National Football Weekly Gazette. So in Fraley's final game at RMU, he helped the program establish a school record, 520 total yards of offense in their win over Stony Brook. So he had a pretty good college career, where, he started off as, a guy that was earning his way onto the field. He wasn't given a scholarship. He had to earn everything that he did. Hence, Dan Campbell, earn it, right? Work for it. And they love that mentality. The guys that want to go in and work hard to get everything they're going to get out of the game and everything out of life. So he was a perfect fit for Dan Campbell, and I believe that's one of the reasons why he probably stuck around. Now, we don't know all the real reasons, but I'm just going to guess that's probably one of them, and why Dan Campbell wanted him. As an undrafted free agent, so again, now he's earning everything again. He had to earn his way onto the field at a AA school, and now he's got to earn his way, through the NFL. As an undrafted free agent in 2000, he eventually signed with the Eagles. And in just his second year with the team, he started all 15 games. And he went on to start every contest thereafter through 2009. He appeared in 142 career games. He made 123 career starts. And he started at center in 4 straight NFC championship games for the Eagles from 2002 to 2005. So there's another element, to his experience, going deep in the playoffs, knowing what it takes to get there, how to remain a top competitor in the NFL, somebody that was an undrafted rookie that is now starting in NFC championship games. That's an incredible feat. That takes incredible heart and the will to want to win. And be the best that he can be at the position that he chose to play. So in 2002 to 2005, he was the starting center also in Super Bowl 39 versus the New England Patriots. So in addition to his time with the Eagles, he also played 4 seasons with the Browns and 1 with the Rams. And during his NFL career, he started games along center, guard, and tackle positions at each of the last 2 stops that he was at in his NFL career. But then his coaching season kind of begins. But before I jump into that, let's jump into the chat and see what anybody has to say. Do me a favor, when you guys are in, let me know, kind of where you're watching from and what do you thought about today's games. There's some good games today. There's a lot of interesting games that I picked some upsets in, and I was hoping a few more happened for a 10-game parlay, but it didn't happen. I lost it. All right, so let's move into Mike Miller, and thanks for jumping in, Mike. You've been pretty consistent with us every time we jump in, and today wasn't really scheduled. It was kind of scheduled a little bit late, but I appreciate you jumping in. Said Gibbs, if Gibbs and JMO can reach half of their potential, keyword half, we are going to be a scary, we are going to be scary offensively. High hopes for those kids. I think you're hitting it right on the head, man. If we can just reach half of what they can do, which quite honestly, this means jump on the field and run a straight line. If you can do that and take away, from the other guys on the field to get free and get open, allow Amon-Ra some more time to work, allow Laporta some time to work, allow Gibbs some time to work, whatever, the play call is going to be, they're going to be scary and they're going to do well. Next comment here from Tony Den. That's a new name. Thanks for jumping in, Tony. Will the return of JMO stretch the field for big plays or create better looks mid-distance? 100%. He has yet to show good hands, but Amon-Ra and Laporta could tear things up with Jameson as a decoy. So decoy is a key word that I used the other night in our show. I think that JMO is going to be a decoy for the first couple of games. you're right about one thing. His hands have been a little sketchy so far in some of those mid-distance, routes. JMO, at Bama was used to running long distance, long routes, catching the ball over his shoulder, catching, softer balls as they're coming down, not fast strikes. He wasn't used to running over the middle or running ins and outs for fast, short throws. And we saw that, in preseason, we saw it in training camp, that he was dropping those balls. Will it take a little bit of time for him to catch up with Jared? It will. Do they still have a lot of work to do? I think they do. But what we don't know is what we don't know. And we haven't seen JMO in a few weeks. We haven't seen him since training camp. So I think that, what you're saying, Tony, is spot on. Will this stretch the field? It will. I do think that Jameson Williams is going to give us a lot more options when it comes to the midfield, like you're talking about, and allowing those plays to develop more. I don't think Ben Johnson has touched 25% of his playbook. I think that he's been pretty vanilla so far. And I only say that because I haven't seen, outside of a couple of trick plays, we had the flea flicker the one game. We had the reverse last game. Outside of that, I haven't seen a whole lot of real tricky plays or, tricky alignments that, every other team isn't using. So I think we have a lot to look forward to when JMO gets back in the game. His speed alone and the ability to stretch is what's going to allow this team to have more success. So Fraley, his coaching season begins. He embarked on his coaching career as the offensive line coach at the University of San Diego in 2012. He moved to San Jose State for the 2013 season, in some capacity at least. 5 of his student athletes achieved all league honors. That's pretty darn good. He then started as the Minnesota Vikings assistant offensive line coach for 3 seasons between 2014 and 2016. Why this is important is right here. In 2016, he was under the tutelage of Tony Sperano, who by far is one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire NFL, has been for a long time. And in 2015, as you may remember, the Vikings captured Minnesota's first NFL North title since 2009 and made its first playoff appearance since 2012. Adrian Peterson gashed the league that year with 1,485 yards, becoming just the 3rd player in league history over the age of 30 to top the NFL in single-season rushing yards. Why is that so important? Why does that even matter to us? Well, what we're seeing, we're not seeing, a large amount of yards right now, but we will. But what we're seeing is what Fraley was able to do with the offensive line at every school that he coached at. The Vikings, they've had major success in the run game. He is very keyed in on the run game. But, oh, by the way, they had great success in the pass game and pass protection as well. Whatever Fraley is doing and whatever he's keying on for these guys, which, these guys are great offensive minds themselves. Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, Penei Sewell. It's not like they're not helping the situation. They're very important pieces to this mentally. They have to come into the game and be smart. Fraley is just able to expand upon their intelligence and utilize what they do great to do it even better on the field. And that's what we're seeing. So after his successful job in Minnesota, he moved back to UCLA. He joined the Bruin football program staff sometime in January of 2017 as an offensive line coach again. Fraley had only been with UCLA for 1 year, and he accomplished a lot in that season. In 2016, the Bruins were near the bottom of the nation in rushing stats. They could only muster about 84 yards a game. And after 1 season, when Fraley left, they were averaging 32 more yards a game, or roughly about 116 yards a game. I don't think there's any coincidence, like I was saying earlier, that what we're seeing now with the Detroit Lions is any different than the success that he had in his past. So after 1 season, Fraley moved back to up to the NFL. And on February 16th, 2018, he was hired by the Detroit Lions as an assistant offensive line coach. On January 7th, 2020, he was promoted to the offensive line coach, head coach. So, what we have seen and where this offense has grown, since he has been running the offensive line, I think the initial answer is a ton. We've seen a lot, and it's only going to get better. Each and every season, this line has gotten better. The Lions are currently the third best offensive line in 2023. And this is after already battling injury after injury. Losing Vitae and Decker in week 2. They lost backup Mac Nelson in week 2. They brought Dan Skipper in for a little flyby. He was in for a couple of plays. We lost him in, I believe, it was week 3. The Lions have already seen more than 5 offensive line units hit the field in 2023. And this has been a common theme for the offensive line for a few years now. In 2022, they started the season, I believe, ended the season, I believe, ranked the third best offensive line. And after suiting up more than 8 different offensive line units throughout that season, the Lions finished as a top 5 unit. They racked up 23 TDs in 2022, which was almost double what they did in 2021, which was, I believe, 12 TDs or 13 TDs in 2021. So that's a huge increase. And now Monty already has 5 to start the season, which I believe was an NFL record, or at least a franchise record, but I think it was an NFL record. I've seen so many stats the last few days. I'm kind of statted out. Can't keep them all straight. So let me jump back into the chat here. Mike Miller, what's the word on Branch's health long-term? Good news is he should be back for Carolina. At least that's what I'm reading anyway right now, is that no major injury. Looked like it was just a minor ankle thing. All the x-rays were negative. So he should be good to go, and we should see him back in Carolina. So what's you guys' thoughts on Hank Fraley? Monty's obviously a major benefactor of what Fraley's been able to put together. But this offensive line being, a core team now for more than 3 seasons, and Penei Sewell was such a genius pick, someone that they're obviously going to retain. Taylor Decker being the elder statesman in the group and also the oldest, tenured Lion on the team right now. I believe the sky's only the limit for this group. They're going to continue to add pieces. Colby Sorsdahl, 5th-round pick, showed great, ability in his first game. He didn't give up, I don't think, 1 pressure in his first game playing right tackle. But again, as he gets trickled in and as he gets more time and as he studies under Fraley and the rest of the offensive line group, it doesn't matter where you're picked. He can take an undrafted himself, unscholarshiped himself, and turn it into one of the league's best for more than a decade. Now you're going to see that with our offensive line. You're taking a 3rd round or a 5th round or even a 2nd round guy. It doesn't matter. They can turn them into somebody like a Hank Fraley that can be one of the league's best for a decade. It just takes a little bit of time. And we're going to see that now that we have all the experience on the offensive line, that this offensive line is going to be able to push and do things that we haven't seen, on teams before. So a little bit about 2012. We had Week 18 starters were Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Evan Brown, which was a key loss, over the winter, and then Penei Sewell. The guard duo of Evan Brown and Jonah Jackson were worked over kind of in the Green Bay game in Week 18. They surrendered 8 pressures as a pair. And I believe that was kind of part of the reason why they weren't so concerned about allowing Brown to leave or letting him leave, was because of that last game. Detroit's offensive line never ranked outside the top 10 during the entire season, ranging anywhere from number 3 to a low of number 10 in 2022. Best player of the year in 2022 was Penei Sewell. Highest ranked, highest grade. He continued to build on what he did as a very impressive rookie, and he earned an 80.2 overall PFF grade in cutting his sacks allowed from 5 to 2 in 2022. So again, what we're seeing is a little microcosm of what this offensive line is going to be able to do and how they're going to be able to improve season to season. I think there's a big comparison that I'm going to make with Fraley, and I'm sure that at some point he might get an opportunity to become a head coach. He reminds me of a lot of, and I don't mean because of his size, but he reminds me a lot of, an Andy Reid, somebody that's really intelligent, really knows the ins and outs, and has been around some of the best in the league. Give him a little bit more time, and he might be somebody that's going to get snaked away from us, for a better position. I don't know if that's offensive coordinator first or if he jumps right into the fray as a head coach down the line, but the trench guys seem to make some of the better head coaches because they really understand what it takes to win and what it takes to win season after season after season. And they're some of the hardest, grittiest, guys on the team. And as coaches, they're some of the most well-liked. But they're also, some of the most feared because they expect greatness and they expect toughness week in and week out. In 2021, Lions averaged 4.2 yards a carry. And yards before contact, they had 2.5 yards before contact. Not terrible. They were sacked at a rate of about 6% for 12 sacks in 2021. So pretty positive numbers, pretty good numbers. And in 2021, they were ranked 13th, I believe, to finish the season. They were up 2 from the year before. They finished the season with Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Evan Brown at center, Halapouliuti Vaitai, and Penei Sewell at right tackle. The Lions' offensive line in 2021 really pulled into shape kind of towards the end of the season and should have been entering the offseason with a feeling of optimism, like much of the rest of the team was. Frank Ragnow, the unit's best player, played just 4 games before going down injured. Rookie Penei Sewell played well at both left and right tackle, throughout the year, and he earned a 77.4 overall grade. The biggest weak link was Matt Nelson, go figure, at right tackle. And then that's part of the reason why I wasn't so concerned that he went down. Again, I hate to see somebody get injured, but when he went down, it was kind of like, what are we really going to miss? He's kind of been a sieve while he's been here. So anyway, the biggest weak link was Matt Nelson in 21 at right tackle, and that really resolved with the return of Taylor Decker. Once Taylor Decker was back, things started to smooth out. Left guard Jonah Jackson improved his grade. He went from a 57 as a rookie to a 70 in year 2. Again, a testament to Hank Fraley. These guys are improving season over season. Big jumps season over season. Already this season, this is what we faced. Matt Nelson went out with an ankle. Vaitai went out with a knee. Taylor Decker went out with an ankle. Jonah Jackson went down with a thigh, but I believe he hasn't missed a game yet. And this is what the Lions are looking forward to. This is what we've already had. Improved pass protection, number 1. I'm going to jump into the chat for just a second before I roll into that. Let's see here. Mike Miller says, loves the stat Monty has as many TDs as the Bears. Yeah, that was a good one the other day. That was a real good one. Mike Miller also says, we have been draft heavy for offensive line. I've loved it. Look at some of the other teams in the league struggling up front. That can't win if they can't protect. Very true. I think time and time again, you're going to see teams that are winning in the trenches are winning at the end of the season, and the ones that are making the playoffs. If you can win up front, you can find skilled players. You can go out and trade for a skilled player. You can, find skilled players in the draft. You can find them later in their career, and all they have to do is produce. But it is very difficult to find phenomenal, skilled trench guys. And once you find them, you have to hold on to them. And that typically means you're going to have to go out and get them, in the earlier rounds. I'm not saying you have to waste a first-round pick every season on somebody in the trenches. But there will be a time that you do have to. And we've seen how that works out too. Mike Miller says, am I the only one thinking before the bye the Ravens are the only tough game we got? If we play like we know we can and not like the Seattle game. I believe that too. Matter of fact, when I did my picks for the season, I had the Lions going 12-5 and a 5-1 start, kind of finishing that first half 6-2. And Seattle was one of the teams that, I thought they'd have difficulty with, but I didn't think they would lose that game. I felt like they had too much animosity and anger kind of built up towards Seattle from the season before. But that didn't happen. I did expect them to have some trouble with the Chiefs, but they surprised us. As a fan, I wanted them to beat the Chiefs. But from an analyst side, on paper, I didn't see them beating the Chiefs, and that's because Kelsey and Jones were in the game when I did my assessment. They weren't in the game when the game came time to play, so that kind of changed things. But I can't change what I wrote on paper, in the beginning of August. So Mike Miller says, am I the only one thinking? No, I already read that one. So thanks for all the chats, Mike. You really stay involved with us. We appreciate it. Keep us on our toes. All right, so what are the Lions getting in return from Hank Fraley? They're getting a lot. Number one, improved pass protection. One of the most noticeable changes in the offensive line under Hank Fraley has been their improved pass protection. He's instilled a very strong work ethic in these guys and technical discipline, resulting in fewer sacks and hits on the quarterback. Jared Goff has been able to stay fairly clean and very effective through every single game, probably midway through last season. He's stayed upright in just about every single game, 98% of the snaps or whatever it is. He's a very low sack rate and a very low pressure rate. But this improved pass protection has allowed the Lions offense to execute more effectively through the air, given, Jared Goff more time to make decisions and find the open receivers. One of the worst stats the Lions had, I don't know if it was 2021 or if it was about halfway through 2022, was the separation rate. The distance that the wide receivers were able to get on the defenders within a certain amount of time to allow Jared to, find the open guy and make the throw. They weren't getting separation. Matter of fact, Khalif Raymond had the best separation of anybody on the team at that time. Amon-Ra just somehow got open, or he made a lot of contested catches. But where does that help us, in the run game? And it's been complete dominance going back to last season. Maybe not by yards, but look at what we're getting on every play. Look at how many touchdowns these guys are getting. Dating back to last season, we had 23. This season, we already have 5. Jared Goff has one himself. I call Jared the giraffe because when he runs, he looks like a big giraffe. He's kind of slow and clunky, but he gets it done. So he's been very instrumental in developing a dominant run game for the Lions this season, last season, and the season before. His emphasis on physicality and proper blocking techniques has really paid dividends, bringing in these younger guys, whether it's Penei Sewell or Jonah Jackson, and really opening up the running lanes, for the running backs has been a very key element of what Hank Fraley has been trying to get these guys to do since day one. And they're doing it, and they're doing it at a very good clip right now. When you go and look at any clip of the Lions run game, and I don't care what game it is, you look at the holes that these guys are creating, how much time they're allowing in the pocket, and simply just how dominating they are when they need to be. Third and short, they're not afraid to run it. We've seen Dan Campbell run it on fourth down multiple times, and he's not afraid to run it. And that's because they have that much confidence in this offensive line, what Hank Fraley's seeing on the sideline, and what he's communicating to Ben Johnson that they can get done. And they're getting it done. The Lions' rushing attack is going to be one of the best in the league by the year's end. I guarantee it. And it may not have a ton of yards, right, on the ground, but they're going to be yards that matter, right? The third and shorts, like I'm saying. The second and longs, they're not afraid to run it there either. And the guys are able to get it. Once Gibbs is able to do his job and you have somebody like Jamison Williams on the far right or the far left, and he's able to take away that extra box defender, that's when we're going to see Gibbs come alive. Right now, they're bringing down an extra guy in the box to help defend Gibbs' ability to either catch the ball in the flat, out of the backfield, up the middle, or take the ball, off the end zone run or the zone scheme. And eventually, we're going to be able to open it all up. We just need somebody to take the defense off the top, and that's Jamison Williams. Player development. This is perhaps one of his best achievements. His ability to develop the young talent. Kobe Sorsdahl. Look what he did coming into his first game. I did not expect Kobe Sorsdahl to get in this early. I wasn't necessarily afraid of it. I think he's done pretty well in preseason. He had some pretty tough games, during the preseason games, but that's your welcome to the NFL moment. You've got to get your legs under you. You've got to get burned a couple of times. You've got to get a couple of times. And he did. And once you feel it, once you go through it and you learn the game speed, you start to adjust. And I feel like Fraley's done an excellent job at getting these guys adjusted and having them really blossom into reliable starters or backups. And this not only speaks to his coaching prowess, but I also believe it speaks to the ability of him as a coach, as a mentor, and the identity and the true nature of this team and what they want to do as an offensive line. The next big part of this is consistency, right? And reliability. And they're essential qualities for any offensive or defensive line, but particularly the offensive line. I believe that Coach Fraley's really instilled a lot of these attributes into these players, again, as an identity, as a culture, as a statement to who they want to be. They need to be consistent. They need to be reliable. When that guard's pulling or when that tackle's pulling, you know that they're going to be there to back you up to pick up the second or the third tier block. That Jared Goff knows that he doesn't have to turn and check his shoulder every 2 seconds to feel like he's going to get hit and get his clock cleaned. He has the trust in his offensive line when they're running some of those blind plays. But week in and week out, this offensive line has become very reliable, not only for Jared Goff, but also for the running backs. A unit that can be counted on, to protect Jared Goff and open up the lanes. And this level of consistency is invaluable, especially this early in a season. For a team that's really striving to take that next step and to win the NFC North, they have to be reliable and they have to be consistent. That's what good teams do. And I believe that the Detroit Lions are finally on the plane of being a great team. Not just a good team, they're going to be a great team. Jump into the chat here. I think I saw a couple come in. All right, Mike Miller, is our own health throughout the rest of the season the only thing that costs division crown? I feel no threat from the rest of the North. Am I wrong? So is your question there, are you questioning, if we don't stay healthy, that, we potentially might lose the ability to take the NFC North crown? If that's your question, I would say the answer is yes. If the Lions don't stay healthy, I think that's the only reason why we lose. You saw what I put out the other day. I changed what I saw for wins and losses from 12-5 to 15-2. I lost my mind. That's what everybody thinks. And I might have. But when I look at the schedule, these are all beatable teams, every single one of them. But at the same point, we're also beatable on any given Sunday. And all it takes is a couple of key guys to be down. If we lose our offensive line again, like we did, last season and the season before that, if we lose anybody for, any one of these starters that we have right now, if we lose them for a period of 2 or 3 or 4 games, that could be the difference of winning the North and making the playoffs. Last season, it took one game and some help from, the Zebras there in the Seattle game to end the season. So they have to be, taking advantage of every single opportunity. And right now, the Seattle game was a huge opportunity lost. That was a winnable game. You should have dominated that game. I mean, if you go back and watch, I think it was episode 39 or 38, where I really dove into Seattle and what they weren't doing well and how they could be beat and how they should have been able to be beat. And again, I'm no coach of the NFL, right? I'm sitting in this chair just doing my analysis, having fun, getting things wrong just like everybody else. But we've been pretty spot on with our analysis, and to some degree. That should have been a win. And I bet you that one burns Dan Campbell right now every night. Like he says, he's making love to Mrs. Campbell on a fur rug or whatever. I bet you this one burns every night. He can't get over it. And that's because it was a winnable game and he knows it. And that's why AG came out in the next game with a better plan, and why the defense came out with 7 sacks against the Falcons, because that's what they should have done to Seattle. All right. So yes, our own health is our own detriment. It always is. Every season, you just can't lose guys. How do we prevent that, right? How do we stay in front of that situation? It's very difficult for any team to stay in front of it. But as Jared Goff said in the press conference the other day, we're going to be challenged. We are going to have injuries. We are going to have a moment this season that is going to be tough and challenging. And every team goes through it. How do you stay in front of it? Right now, Brad Holmes has a little bit in the kitty as far as cash, right? About $10 million. We have all of our draft picks for the next few years. So there's an opportunity come week 8 or 9 or 10 before the trade deadline that if there's a team, Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, who want to trade Chase Claypool right now, that if they want to make moves and dump some of their offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that we will have an opportunity to pick them up. Not only to make a run through the playoffs, but to also bolster your offense and defensive line to stay healthy and be ready to put in a guy that's not necessarily a backup, but should be a starter. And I think that's what Holmes is going to do. I think that he's going to go out and pluck somebody or 2 or 3 and bolster the roster, but also put a key backup in a place where they really should be a starter. They're not going to be happy they're not playing, but give this offensive line a break. If you lock it up by week 12 or week 13 or week 14, give your guys a break. Get Ragnow and Decker out of there. Put in some guys that can go in and still play, get some playing time, give these guys some rest. So I think that's where we're going to be able to get healthy if we can win enough games in a row and lock it up early. It'd be nice for once to lock it up early. It'd be nice just to lock it up just once. 49ers, Eagles, Lions, current rankings for the NFC. Yeah. Well, are you saying that that's what they are? 49ers 1, Eagles 2, Lions 3? I would agree with that wholeheartedly. If that's what you're saying there, I would agree with that. I think the Lions are a lot better than what people are going to give them credit to be. They just haven't proven anybody right yet in 30 plus years. So once we're able to actually do something and prove to everybody that we belong, no one's going to give us any credit. And that's all right. Keep that chip right on the shoulder. Every single week, these guys are going to come in and kick you in the teeth, and they're going to keep that chip right there. And that's fine by me. I'd rather see it. The next thing I want to get to about Fraley is his ability to adapt and be versatile. And we've seen this on display. Each season, he's had to be able to shift that offensive line around. Penei Sewell comes in as a left tackle. He's playing right tackle. Taylor Decker goes out at left tackle. Penei Sewell slides over to left tackle, right? Constant musical chairs on this offensive line. I think 15 or so different offensive line units have hit the field in the last 2 seasons by now. I know it's at least 12, but I think it's closer to 15. I'd really have to go back and look. I just don't have the time to do it, so I'm going off of what I read online. But I know I've seen plenty and heard about plenty that, have had to dress and for the Lions. It's been a lot. It's a lot of transformation. It's a lot of different calls. It's having to adapt, right? Be versatile, not only in your position. I mean, look, Penei Sewell was a left tackle. He's now ingrained into that right tackle and probably one of the best right tackles in the league. Top 3 for sure. And then he's asked to go plug and play on the left side, not only last season, but he just did it already this season. And he struggled a little bit in that game this season, but then he settled in. So it's not easy to be versatile. It's not easy to have to adapt. And I feel like the Lions have to do it more than their Lions share. But they're doing it really well at this point. And that's because Fraley has these guys set up. He has them set up for success. Being a good coach, being a good mentor, being a good boss, being a good CEO, it's not about the numbers, right? It's not always about the wins and the loss or how much cash is in the bank account. What it's truly about is, are your guys set up for success? Can they come in and do your job or everybody else's job underneath them at a moment's notice? And if the answer is yes, you're doing your job and you're getting your guys set up. And that's the true, I don't know how to put it. It's the true mark on a good coach, right? On somebody that cares enough about the organization, about the team, about the individual, that, hey, I'm going to have you set up for every situation because you never know when we're going to need it. And if I don't do that, then I'm not doing my job. And if you can't do my job for me, then I'm not doing my job and teaching you how to do it. You should always want somebody to step in and take your job. I know it's not the greatest job security, but at the same time, it's job security. And I think that Fraley's doing it, probably one of the best in the league right now, and making sure that these guys know multiple positions. Brad Holmes is doing an excellent job by bringing guys in that are versatile. They can play guard and tackle. They can play guard and center. I would have loved to have seen them bring in Tippmann in this last draft that could play center and guard. Maybe we'll see somebody next season. And the reason why I say that is Ragnow is only one more plantar injury away from probably closing up shop, turning in his jersey, and not playing again. And that's a scary thought, because without Ragnow, I don't think this offensive line's, in a top 10. He's a very big key to this offensive line. He's a very big key to Jared Goff doing what he does. He makes all the calls. One of the smartest positions on an NFL team has to be the center, the tight end, the quarterback, your safeties, your middle linebacker. Those are the guys that need to know the most. And without Ragnow, I think that this team suffers. So we can't allow him to get injured. And he needs to get time to rest, which they've been doing a great job with that as well. All right, what do you guys got for me in the chat? I think I'm just about done for the night. If there's anything you guys want to chat about, what's my prediction for in-season pickup before the deadline? I don't have anybody pegged right now. I think that there's so much going on in the league right now. There's teams that are losing big time that were not supposed to lose, namely the Bears, right? They were supposed to be world beaters. The Packers, they had the second coming of Christ with with Love, so they thought. That was a big failure. There's too much going on. I don't know if there's going to be interdivisional trades or interconference trades like there has been in the past. I don't know if anyone's willing to deal the Lions any good players right now. So I think it's going to take an out-of-conference team, and I'm going to have to look at really who's doing well and who's not, and go from there. I'll be honest, I haven't spent a ton of time with it. But if I were to give you a prediction on if Holmes is going to grab somebody come the trade deadline, look, if the Lions have 4 losses or less come the trade deadline, he's going to pick somebody. He's going to go after someone or 2. And I don't think it's going to rely on injuries. I don't think it's going to take an injury for him to go out and find somebody. I think he's going to look for an opportunity, someone that's maybe on their last leg of their deal. They're either in their 5th year or their 4th year or their 3rd year. Let me say that again. They're in their 4th year or their 3rd year, so either first or second rounder, right? And the team doesn't want to pick them up. They're not going to pick up a 5th-year option. They're not going to, sign them to an extension. And I think that that's where Holmes is going to roll the dice. someone that needs to come in and still perform at a high level because they're trying to get that second contract. Said another way, I wouldn't be surprised if Holmes goes out and finds someone that's already through their second contract in the last year of their deal. So the key is last year of the deal. I think that's where Holmes is going to go out and find somebody for us, and someone that is really going to play well down the stretch. Think about it from this perspective. Von Miller, right? He comes in on this Rams team. They win a Super Bowl. No one wanted to sign him long-term. He wants too much money, but he'll play a bunch of one-year contracts. Dominican Sue, same thing. He doesn't want to show up for training camp, but he'll come in and, bang away the last 6 games of a season to help you win a championship. So I think it's a player like that in their older years, but I think he's also looking for that next step up, like a CJ Gardner-Johnson type that probably deserves a bigger contract than what he's going to get, but has some questions, clearly a hell of a, vocal leader, phenomenal athlete, but maybe has some questions about him that other teams aren't so sure on. But people like Holmes and Mike Disner and Dan Campbell, they vet these guys really well. They know, AG, same thing. They vet these guys really well. And I don't think, let me say it this way. I do think if the Lions are in a position to go out and get some guys and make this push, that they're going to have to do it this season, because come next season, Ben Johnson and AG might be gone. Unless the Lions are really willing to pay a ton of money to keep these guys, I don't see them staying in just for the heck of it to go win championships with the Lions. Great story, but I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like if they're going to get an opportunity to coach a team, they're going to go coach a team. So that's my prediction, Mike. Sorry, it's kind of a long answer. I really feel like I think Brad Holmes is going to put us in the right position. Let's just put it that way. Christine Hewell, is that how you say your last name, or Howell? I think we might struggle a bit with the Vikings. Thoughts? So on my final prediction for the season, the 15-2, I think I had us losing to the Cowboys, right? But I feel like the Vikings is a questionable game. I think the Saints is a questionable game. The Ravens is a questionable game. They're all winnable and losable games. After what happened in the Vikings game today, they always have a chance to come back, right? But Kirk Cousins is throwing a lot of interceptions right now. He is not confident behind that offensive line. And he's throwing some straight up ducks. So if they do what they did against the Falcons and the Packers to Kirk Cousins, we aren't going to struggle. They're going to eat him alive. And that's because Cousins isn't going to be able to throw the ball. He's not going to be able to get up after the second or third quarter. So I would say that, the away game is going to be the tougher of the two games, as it always is. But what these Lions are showing us right now is they're showing us that they can go in hostile environments and win big games. When's the last time we've seen that? I couldn't even tell you the last time we've won big games like this. And the stat came out today or yesterday. I think it was today. The Lions are the only team since yada yada year to win 2 primetime away games. And the last teams that did it either went to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl. 2 of them won, 3 of them went. So 5 out of 6 teams to do what the Lions have just done either went or won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl, but I'm saying we're probably going to the Super Bowl. Just maybe. All right. So I don't think we'll struggle. I really don't. I think that if they play the way that they've been playing, we're going to be just fine. We just got to stay healthy. That's the key. All right. So that's really all I had tonight on Hank Fraley. Again, I really appreciate y'all jumping in and joining us. It's been a heck of a ride so far. We're really having a lot of fun with it. Hey, season's, just begun. We just got through the first quarter. There's a lot coming up. We just kicked off weekly trivia, and we're sending out some trivia maybe once a day, maybe 5 times a week. Not real sure, but they'll be coming out. And we've got some other unique things coming around. Like every week we're gonna prep, just like we do now, but we're gonna put out some fun facts about every team that we're going up against. And they're kind of hard to find, but I'm doing a lot of digging and trying to find some information for everybody. It's for the new fans too. Not everybody is a fan like all of you or myself that's been here for a while. Been doing this for 4 decades, not podcasting, but a fan. And, we know a lot about the team. So some of the newer fans that are jumping in, I don't ever want them to be afraid to jump in the chat, ask questions. It's okay. We're not going to crucify you. We're a little bit different, as Lions fans. We'll welcome everybody in. We just want you to stick around when the times are tough, like the rest of us do. Because right now we're reaping the benefits of sticking around. And it feels good. It feels different because it is different. So anyway, really appreciate you guys. And again, do me and do Andy the huge favor. And I hate to end this way, but, again, if you're just jumping in like Christine, Andy suffered a stroke this morning. And so things are really tough here with Rock Down Detroit Lions and Rock Down Podcast Network. And we could definitely use everybody's support. Definitely Andy could use your support in any way you see fit. If you'd like to send him a message, put anything, up through the group, we'll make sure it gets posted and wish him well. So hopefully we'll see him back soon. But at the end of the day, he just needs to be well. So that's all I had for tonight. Again, I appreciate y'all. Mike Miller, Christine Hewell, Jonathan Fleming, and everybody else that jumped in, and any other chats that I didn't see tonight because I can't see all of them. And we're trying to get that figured out, why I can't see YouTube and why I can't see Twitter, but I can only see the Facebook ones. Makes zero sense to me. But we'll try to get it figured out. And hopefully we'll get it done before the Carolina game. But anyway, jump in the Rock Down Detroit Lions page. We got about 19 days left. Facebook challenged us to become the top new sports page. We're trying. We got to get X amount of engagement. And if we get to the engagement number, we put out some amazing prizes like 2 tickets to the Vikings game to end the season. And some other prizes in there like Villain Squad apparel, villainsquad.store. There's a lot of amazing shirts and, amazing artwork that's been put up. Check it out. You can support us there. There's some new JMO shirts that just went up. Freed JMO, Unleashed JMO, Ready Set JMO, you name it. We got it. You can support us through our Amazon partners that are on our website as well. But anyway, the best way to support us is just to hit like and subscribe and then show up when we do some podcast. And we're happy with that too. So anyway, until next time, we really appreciate you guys. Go Lions, go One Pride. We'll see you here in a couple of days. All right, take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
So, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one. It'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. It doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Stewart. He caught it. Billy Stewart with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
McCollum things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser.